Welcome to Commsverse. This session, I didn't know you could do that in Teams, is presented to you by Sharon Weaver. Sharon, take it away.
Thanks, Luke. Welcome everybody to Commsverse. So this session today is going to be maybe things that you've never done in Teams before. You've probably been using Teams for a while. Maybe you've been using Teams and channels, but there's more to it than you think. And so I've played around with a lot of stuff, clicked a lot of buttons, and ready to show you some of the things that I found. Before we start, always want to thank all of our sponsors for putting this together. Without our sponsors, we couldn't do this. So just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say thank you to them. Make sure to visit their channels and make sure to go say hi to them and tell them that we appreciate that they put this on. A little bit about me. I'm from Kansas City, which is right in the middle of the United States. Just take the United States, stick your finger right in the middle. There I am. I run a company called Smarter Consulting. We do Microsoft consulting, a lot of CIO type services where we come in, help people figure out what they're trying to accomplish and get more out of what they've got. I also do some training and teaching for different colleges and different companies. I've been in IT for over 20 years, primarily designing, developing, and managing different types of software solutions and applications. I've been working with SharePoint for over 15 years, so that's kind of where I started. When Office 365 came along, it was right in my sweet spot, and when Teams came out, I was super excited. So I spend a lot of time in Teams now. I'm also a Microsoft Regional Director and a Microsoft Certified Trainer. I have a Six Sigma Black Belt and I'm a Certified Business and Systems Analyst. So basically that says I've done a lot of stuff and I've been around a while, and I'm going to help you guys figure out how to do something more with what you've got already. If you want to get a hold of me, my email's on here. It's just sweaver@smarter-consulting.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Sharon E. Weaver, or you can scan the QR code and it'll take you to a contact form where you can fill out information, and I'd be happy to follow up with you if you need any help. All right, so the way that I work is I'm going to show you some stuff, and then I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the presentation and actual Teams, and then that way you can kind of see how this works. So like I said, you've been using Teams, you've been using channels, you've been doing all this stuff, but there's some kind of neat things you can do that maybe you didn't know you could do. One of the first things that you can do in here is you can use your @ just like you can in your social media channels. So for example, if I want to send somebody a message, that's fine, but sometimes it gets lost in a sea of channels and a sea of things. And so by using the @ symbol, you can actually go in here and it will call somebody out. So let me show you how that works. So let's say I'm in a channel. This is my team stuff. I'm in a channel and I want to be able to talk to somebody. It doesn't really matter where I'm at. Down here, I can start any conversation and I can click my @ symbol, and it's going to tell me the people that are in scope for that particular area, that channel, that team, that area, and it's going to give me options of people that I can then @ mention. If I @ mention that person, then they will get an alert, they will get a notification. They will then know that I'm talking to them. This is really handy in Teams because sometimes there's so many messages flying around that you're not sure exactly which one to do. So just remember, just click the @ symbol and then you can pick the person that you want to talk to. Notice here it says at the bottom of the slide, every person you @ mention gets a notification in the activity feed. Let me show you something else real quick and then I'll show you the activity feed. So what you can do while you're talking to people is you can actually share files. So this is kind of another neat trick. So I'm going to go back over to my Teams so I can show you how this works. And let's say I'm chatting with somebody. Look at all these red bubbles, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. This is how to know that people are talking to you and that you need to do things. Let's go in here and look at this, see who's talking to me. What you can do is you can share files directly in the chat. So to do that, all you have to do is underneath where you're going to type the message, there's a little paperclip icon. And you can choose where that file comes from. You can pull it straight out of OneDrive, which makes it really easy. Or you could upload it from your computer and say, Maybe I want to get something that's right here on my computer and I want to send the updated calendar to him. I can just do it right there. It'll upload it directly. I don't have to drag and drop it anywhere. I don't have to do anything with it. And what's really cool is, I'm going to comment on this, thanks. Here's the updated calendar for next month. And when I send this, what's really cool is that Teams knows that I want to share this with another person. And so it automatically takes this item, it puts it in my OneDrive, and then it shares it with the other person. Now, I could go try to find it in OneDrive, but even easier if I just go to my history of the chat with that person. At the very top, just like in Teams, there's a Files tab, and you can see all of the different items that either of us have shared with each other, and you can access it right there inside of that chat. Kind of a cool little trick if you're trying to keep track of what you're sharing with different people. So let's go back. So you can see this just shows you how to do it so that after this, here's what happens. I show everybody how to do stuff and then they say, but Sharon, I forgot how to do that. I'll give you my PowerPoint deck and it has all those notes in there so you won't forget. All right, so speaking of activity, there's all these activity notifications. I know Lori talked a little bit about using this kind of like her inbox. I do exactly the same thing. So when I come into Teams, the very first thing that I do is this activity bell that's up here on the top left. See how it's got the 3 and the bubble? It's telling me that I have new items that I can look at. So I can look at that. Now what ends up happening, and this is a demo environment, so there's not a lot of stuff in here, but you know how it goes. This thing is full, right? There's tons of information and you're not sure what to find. So I always go in here and I look to see what's new. You can see that this is bold, so I know that it's new. But once this gets really long, it's really hard sometimes to find what's been going on. So there's a couple of different ways to dig into this and make it a little easier to find what you're looking for. So once you're inside of here, you can see that this thing that says feed right up here has a little drop down arrow. First of all, sometimes you comment on things and you cannot find where you commented on it. So if you just simply switch that to the My activity, it'll show you where you responded to other people. And then that way you can go back and see your posts and know where you did something. If I swap that back to feed, it's going to take it back to anybody that's not me. So this is where other people have mentioned me or commented or sent something to me. So remember, the feed is everybody else and the My activity is my stuff where I've done things. But in addition, maybe I want to narrow this down even further. So on the right over here, there's a little filter icon. And if you click on the filter icon, it will actually give you a search box and it will give you a ... for more options. If you click on the more options option, you can actually click and narrow down to maybe things that are unread, which then will let you look at the things you've missed. Maybe you want to narrow it down to only reactions or only replies. It just helps you to kind of narrow those things down to find things. But in addition, maybe I just want to look for something, which is what I do all the time. I'm in multiple Teams tenants and they're very, very large and there's tons of information. And I know somebody chatted about that at some point, but I can't remember exactly where that chat was. So the first thing I can do is I can actually type in this filter that maybe I want to find something about Teams. And notice when I type in Teams, first of all, it highlights it in these 2 items. In addition, it narrows down the things. So as I go further into it, it will actually narrow down the list of items in your activity feed so that we can actually find the one that we're looking for. All right. So that's kind of a quick way to find things inside of Teams, but here's another neat trick. So one of the things is when people are chatting back and forth, it's really hard sometimes to be like, I know I want to hang on to this one thing, but it's really hard to go back and find it later. So if you're in Teams and you're seeing this conversation that's going back and forth between different people, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and you want to be able to remember something, all you have to do is find the comment that you want to remember. And if you hover over it, you'll get this nice little emoticon options. And this is what most people pay attention to because they're used to it in social. You know, I can like it and love it, and that's great. But if you click on the dot, 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 there's actually more stuff that you can do. So maybe I want to send it to Outlook. Hey, because I want to have it in email and I want to share it with somebody outside. Or maybe I want to keep track of it. This is kind of invaluable and a lot of people don't realize you can do this. But if you click that dot, 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 and then you click save this message, it bookmarks the actual chat item. So I can click on save this message. And then later on, if I want to be able to go back and reference that, if I click up here on my my login icon, whatever your I call it your face or your initials, whatever's up here on the right, there's actually a bookmark right there where you can see saved stuff. So if you click on saved, guess what? These are all of the different chat items that I've saved. And so what you can notice is if I want to go back to something that's really old because I want to be able to find that, I can click on that item and it's going to go straight to it. I don't have to go hunt for it. I don't have to remember where it's at. I can click on it. And when I click on it, it will highlight it in yellow and it'll show me right where that was that I was looking for. So one of the big things is in Teams, there's a ton of stuff coming through and it's really easy to lose things. And so by simply bookmarking it, you can keep track of it. And just to remind you, all you have to do is hover over the chat item that you'd like to bookmark, click the little dot, 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 click save this message. And then when you want to go find it, go back to your picture or your initials up in the right-hand corner and click on the saved option, and it will show you your list of bookmarks within Teams. Another really cool thing about this is that it's going to go anywhere with you. So no matter where you log into Teams, whether it's on your computer or at the library or somewhere else, all of those bookmarks will stay in place. Whenever you don't want them to be there, you can just simply hover over them and see if you hover over the bookmark, it'll give you an unsave this message. So maybe I don't want to keep this anymore, so I can hover over it. I can unsave the message and it simply takes it out of my bookmarks list. I kind of think that's a neat trick. All right. So another thing that a lot of people deal with is files and getting things in here from other places. So once I'm in Teams and I'm using my file system, people get really confused and they're like, well, I have to go to all these systems to find my files. So I'm going to show you kind of some quick and easy ways to work with files inside of Teams to be able to find things. So first of all, if you are using your OneDrive on a regular basis and you're going out to your OneDrive to be able to find things, you don't really have to. So one of the things that people don't realize is on the left-hand side over here, this files icon,
Hey team, looks like we may have some technical difficulties. We'll be back with you shortly. Thanks. Hey, Sharon.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. My whole computer just stopped.
No problem. We'll get you up and rolling.
All right, let me reshare again. All right. The joys of presenting. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. The fun of technology it never fails. Okay. So we were talking about files. So basically, whenever you're in files, let me pull this back up. All right. So you want to be able to share files with other people. Inside of Teams, we've got OneDrive. So once I click on this Files tab, you can actually access your OneDrive right from here. And you can see that all your files are in here. Now, I will warn you, it's not as fully functional as the OneDrive application is, but it's really nice when you just want to kind of quickly access files, or if you want to be able to just grab the link real quick. So it's nice to just see what's in here, be able to access it. There we go. Click on OneDrive, and there you can see your OneDrive content. So we've got Teams content that we've been sharing back and forth, and then we've got OneDrive content. So once you're in OneDrive, you can see I can add content, I can upload content, I can sync it right here. I can grab the link. If I want those full featured functionalities that are in OneDrive, it's pretty simple. All I have to do is click this Open in OneDrive link, and voila, it will actually open everything right there in OneDrive. So you'll have access to it pretty quick and easy. So for the most part, what I do is if I'm just trying to get access to something, then I'll just click on this Files tab right here, be able to go to OneDrive, work with whatever it is that I need. Another thing that I want to show you is, remember how I showed you when you're chatting with somebody, you can click on the Files tab and it'll show you the files that you've shared back and forth. Well, guess what? If you click it right here, see there's those Microsoft chat files, and if you click on that, it'll show you the files that you've shared out with other people, and you can actually see right here that they're shared. So it's a pretty quick and easy way to get to things kind of on the backside. But once again, if you want more of that full featured OneDrive experience, this is also just another really quick way to get there if you're already in Teams and you're already working with things. Just to click that Open in OneDrive, it'll take you straight to the OneDrive application and you'll be able to work with it there. But here's the other thing, guys. Let's say, for example, that you're working with organizations that use things like Google Drive. I know I said it out loud, but other people don't all use Teams and they don't all use OneDrive. There's things across the board and we want to be inclusive, remember? So one of the things that we want to do is be able to add that in here. All you have to do is down here at the bottom in this Files tab, this is really designed for things that you are using personally, like your OneDrive. So think in terms of your OneDrive, it's your personal content for your business, the stuff that you're working on outside of a team. Same thing, right? So if I have a Google Drive maybe that I'm participating in personally outside of this, I can click this Add Cloud Storage button at the bottom. And then if I have a Dropbox account, or I have a Box account, or Ignite, or Citrix, or Google Drive, all you have to do is click one of those items and it's going to ask you for your login credentials, because yes, you do still have to have login and you still have to have an account. But once you set those up, what will happen is you can access that right here inside of this Files tab, and it's going to ask for your information, and then it'll keep it right here so you can access those files right here in Teams, which makes Teams a true collaboration vehicle, because it's not about the content or the type of content or where the content is coming from. It just lets you get to everything in one place. All right. So that said, this is for your OneDrive and your personal files, but what about the team files? So if I go back up here and I click on Teams, I can share files out with my individual teams and my individual channels, right? So each of these channels can have separate files. That's what's really nice about Teams. General is typically kind of like the first floor of the apartment building, the community area where everybody hangs out and everybody has access. So let's say, for example, in my corporate challenge team, I want to share things out to everybody that's part of the corporate challenge group. I can go to that general tab. And if I go to my files tab here, I can share documents out with those people. Once again, let's say, for example, that corporate challenge, which maybe the parent group is using G Suite and we're using Teams internally, and we want to make those items available out to the group as a whole, and we've given out those credentials for people to be able to access it. All I have to do is right here on the top, you see our new upload sync, this kind of file bar right here. If I click this add cloud storage option, it's the same thing. I could add another SharePoint library, or I could add a Google Drive. Whatever I would like to add in here will give me the opportunity to then access those files right here in the team. So if I want to share those out with anybody that's in that group, I can do that. Just remember, it still requires credentialing. So if they don't have access to that particular file system, then they're not going to be able to access it. They'll just see the tab that's there and there won't be any information because they won't be able to log in. They'll get that prompt that'll say, hey, can you log in? But if they've been given their own credentials to that, then they can just simply log in and they can access it all right here. So it doesn't matter which file system it is. You can just add as many as you want and they'll all just pop up right here. In addition, the stuff that's stored in Teams is stored in SharePoint on the back end. So just like OneDrive, if I want to go see the SharePoint site, all I have to do is go up here to this open in SharePoint. Once again, it's a really quick bookmark because a lot of times people want to go straight to SharePoint and then they want to go find their site. But let's say, for example, I want to go find that SharePoint site. An easier way is just to go to Files, open in SharePoint, and voila, there it is. The other thing to remember is that we can have different files per channel. So this is our general files, but if I wanted to look at maybe the bowling group, it has bowling files, or if I want to go to cycling, it has cycling related files. I want to keep those specific to that. Notice that this makes the context of looking for specific files really easy in collaboration. And then on the back end, what happens is anytime you create a new channel, I'm just going to pop back over here to my SharePoint site and go to the top of my document library, and you can see that it's created a folder structure so that my general channel has its own folder, my bowling channel has its own folder, and my biking channel has its own folder. And it doesn't say cycling because I originally named the channel biking and then I renamed it to cycling. And this is just to show people that if you name a channel, it is going to keep that same name at the folder structure. Even though I've renamed the channel afterwards to be cycling, this original channel still shows right here in the folder structure. But either way, if I want to go look, there's my bowling files. And if I go to cycling or my biking folder, there's my cycling info as well. So what I suggest is think about your content topically and what's the context of what people are trying to find, and then organize that by channel, and then that way your files can be relevant to where it is you need to go. Once again, in each channel even, notice that I can add that extra cloud storage. It doesn't have to just be SharePoint. Maybe cycling is the only group that uses a G Suite account for some reason, or maybe they have a Dropbox account for specific things. I can actually add that cloud storage only to this channel if I want to. I don't have to add it across the board. So it's kind of a nifty little thing to be able to do that. Okay, so I saved a few minutes for shifts. I'm going to have to go through this a little bit quicker because of our technical glitch, but it's okay. Microsoft Shifts is a built-in application inside of Teams. A lot of people don't even know what it is or why it's there. It used to be something called Staff Hub, and it's been embedded in Teams, and it's pretty cool. It's really designed to keep first-line workers connected and in sync, and it ties back to your team. Here's a couple of things you need to know. You can only have one shift schedule per team, so there's only one shift thing, you'll see what I mean, but there's only one per team, and only the team owner can create one. So if you're not the team owner and you go into shifts, you will not be able to create a shift schedule for your team. It was designed to be a mobile-first application. In my opinion, the mobile app is a little easier for workers to use because they're going to see things that are focused to them and are specific to them. In my opinion, the PC app side is easier to use for managers because you can see everything at once. You have a little bit more administration opportunity. And once you're in there, your managers can then create, update, and manage shift schedules for one or more teams. So remember, we get one team or one shift schedule per teams. So I'll show you how all that works. Before we go into shifts, though, there are a few little provisos. So as far as I know, and this can always change because, you know, things change every day, Shifts is currently available in every single Office 365 subscription that includes Teams, except Teams Free does not have it, and as far as I know, the government cloud community does not have it yet, but you could prove me wrong. Another thing to notice is that all time blocks and shifts are created equal, so don't think of a time off block as a different type of block than a regular shift block. So there is an option for workers to be able to trade or swap shifts. And so somebody could actually swap a time off block for a time shift. So just something to remember when you're setting it up and organizing. Another thing to remember is that time off blocks display everything. There's no privacy around it. So just be thoughtful when you're putting it in there. You know, if you're going to put time off for doctor, maybe put time off for doctor. Don't put time off for, you know, going to have surgery or whatever. The other thing is on the PC, workers can see everybody's schedule and everybody's time. So once again, not super private quite yet, but there are still good things you can do with it. There's a few things you can't quite do yet. You can't schedule reoccurring shifts. You can copy shifts, but you can't schedule reoccurring shifts, kind of like on a calendar. You can't add guest users into shifts. It has to be people that are part of the tenant, part of the domain, and part of the team. Otherwise, you can't put them in there. The last thing I want to remind you guys of, there is in Teams administration a policy management tool, and there is one for the first line worker policy. What it does is basically if that person is denoted as a first line worker, you can actually change the view of what they see in Teams to where maybe they only see shifts. Here's my recommendation after playing with it a lot. Test it out before you apply it. Just so that you can see what they see, because sometimes you think it's going to show certain things and it doesn't work exactly the way that you thought. So definitely test it out before you get there. To be able to find it, it's right, I'll show you here in a second, but it's this ... that's under the files. It'll show up under the other applications or on your phone. At the very bottom where it has all these options, there's a little ... more. If you don't have the ... more, then click on this little line and pull it up and it'll pull a little drawer out depending on what version you're on your phone. You can either pull the little drawer out and it'll be there, or you can click this little more ... and that little drawer will open and shifts should be right there in the pocket. And when you click on that, it'll open on your phone. So let me give you a really quick demo of this so you can see what this looks like. So if you click on this ... right here, see how it says shifts? And check it out. There's a whole thing in here we didn't even know existed. So first of all, up here at the top, this 3 lines, if you click on the 3 lines, it'll show you which shift schedules you have aligned to Teams. If you don't have any in here, at the very bottom, there's a new schedule option. See how you can only have 1 per team, and once you've created it, those are not there anymore. So for every team that's in here, you can create 1 shift schedule. Once you've created them, they show up right here, and I can toggle between shift schedules right here on the top left. I can add open shifts, and I can have as many groups as I want. So you can keep going down here, and every time there's an add group, you just give it a name, and it will add an additional group. I can add open shifts right here in the open shifts area by clicking right here. And there's a ... and I want to add an open shift, and it'll automatically default, but I can make changes to this shift and then I can save it. I can share the shift individually out with my team, or I can save it, and when I'm all done, they can all kind of wrap up in one thing, and that way you're not sharing each individual thing out. But if you're only putting one thing on there and you want to share it out right away, you can share it when you create it. Or I can share with my team whenever it's done. Another thing I can do is I can copy shifts. So if I copy this and paste it here, it'll paste the exact same information. Or I could copy multiples at once. So maybe I want to copy both of these. Just like Excel. The other thing I can do is add people to this group. So I can have different people in every group. So up here on the little person with the plus, I just click people that are in the team that this shift schedule is associated with can be added to this group. So if they're not in the team, they can't be in the group. So remember we had Lee in our corporate challenge group. Lee is not in the HR group or in the HR team, so he can't be added to this shift schedule. I would have to go add him to the team for him to be able to be part of the shift schedule. So just something to remember. I can only add people that are part of the group or part of the team. All right, so Jonathan's part of the team, so I'm going to add him to this. And now each of us have our own schedule. There's a couple different ways to do things. You can add a shift or time off directly here from the person, or you can assign an open shift to somebody. And in this case, these have 2 slots available, so you can have multiple slots available for that particular shift. So when I assigned this one to myself, there's still one remaining. This is really nice, especially for like part-time, temporary, in and out workers where you have, I've got 5 open shifts and I need to fill them and I want to make sure that I've got all of those done. The other thing that happens when you do that is it shows my total hours right here of how many hours I've been assigned for the week. And it also shows up here at the top for the day how many hours have been assigned out. And I can look at that at the day level, the week level, or the month level. I can print out a report. I can export the timesheet out once it's been filled in, right? So see, there's all kinds of fun things I can do. If I want to see all this, I can take all this information out of here as well. So I can add these shifts down here. And then for each group, I can have different people in the group. So let's say I've got 20 people in a team and I want to add a different people based on which rotation it is. I can add them to that group, and then I can only assign shifts to the people who are in this particular group. I can't assign them if they're not in the group. So if I want to assign them, I have to add them to the group. All right. I can change the view based on what it is I want to look at. And then if people want to request time or if they want to request shifts, it will pop up under here. So if somebody wants to request something, they can request to take time off. They can request to swap a shift with somebody else, or they can offer a shift up to somebody. And then the manager or the owner of the group or team just simply has to approve it in here. There are some additional settings that you can set up so you can actually make custom time off requests. You can maybe have your start of weekday be a different day if you have a different type of schedule, like if you do a Tuesday through Monday schedule or something like that. There's also this really nice time tracking feature. So if you set this up, you can actually turn time clocks on for your employees, and then you can use that as well. I know it's really fast. It's a really high level overview of shifts. I'll be hanging out in the breakout room afterwards. So if you have more questions after this, I'd be happy to answer them. I could do a whole presentation on shifts, but I just wanted to kind of whet your appetite a little and show you that it's there. The last thing I want to show you is a couple of cool things you can do with tabs in Teams. So before we go, one of the neat things that I like is that in every different channel, you can have different tabs. So we talk about collaboration and we talk about being able to access different things in different places. And I think people use the chat pretty well. They use the conversation pretty well. But when it comes to tabs, I noticed that a lot of people don't use tabs as savvy as they really could. Just remember, if you're organizing your content in a sense of contextual topics, it makes it really easy, because then everybody in HR maybe wants to know some information like what are the files we're sharing, what's going on. But some of the things you can add are things like videos out of stream. So let's say, for example, that we have a meeting and everybody has participated in it, and I want people to go back and watch that meeting, or you do a town hall and you want to post that town hall. To be able to do that, all you have to do is click on the plus over here and then click on stream. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to stream and you're going to copy the channel. So all you have to do is go here, click on stream, find the channel that you'd like to show, click on it, and then copy that URL right there. And when you paste it in, what will happen is it's going to tell you what that channel's name is to verify that that's the right thing. And then you give your tab a name, and it'll add it in. The other thing you can do is show a specific video, and it'll do the same thing. So in this case, this is an example of one video that you can share out with your team or with your group at a channel level. Another option is the channel of videos, in which case this is a lot like YouTube. So if you have multiple videos, they're going to come out here. You're going to see the little thumbnails right here. And this all comes from Stream. So as you upload more videos, this page will continue to update with any new videos that are out here. You can also share your OneNote notebook, which a lot of people do. And all you have to do once again is click that plus and click on OneNote, and then just select your OneNote that you want to show in here. But let's say, for example, we also want to show some reporting information. So in this case, I've added some planner information and some Power BI information. Say you're using Power BI and you've got dashboards. As long as your people that are viewing this have the Power BI license, this is one of my favorite features with Power BI and Teams, is that they don't have to go look for things in Power BI. You don't have to put it on a SharePoint page. You can simply add a tab right here and select Power BI, and you can pick which workspace and which dashboard or report you want to share. And then here it is right here. And as long as they have access, this will update based on whatever your refresh schedule is. And same thing with Planner. I've added a planner plan in here by clicking the plus and just simply going to Planner and selecting the planner. But what's really nice in here is I can see these buckets, but maybe I want to see the charts, so I can just click on this charts tab right here. Maybe as a manager, I want to know what's going on from a dashboardy type view. So you can actually create just a reports channel, put those tabs in there, and it makes it really easy for people to find things. You can have a files tab and you can pop in maybe your PDF reports right there. People don't have to go hunting for them. They don't have to go looking for them. And just a reminder, these channels can be private or public. If they're private, they're going to have this little lock symbol on them. And to do that, you just need to go to the team, click the ... click add channel. And then down here at the bottom, when you've created that channel, simply change that from standard to private. And what will happen is you still have to be part of the team, but you can limit it to certain people in the team. So say, for example, this is HR, but we want to limit this reports channel to only a couple of high-level people. You could set that up as private. One proviso, remember, it can be private or public from the beginning, and you can't change it after the fact. So once you've created it to be a private channel, it's always a private channel. Once you've created it to be a public channel, it's always a public channel. It's still only accessible by the team. If it's a private channel, you could always add the rest of the team in if you wanted to kind of make it public, but you'd have to keep adding people in as you add them into the team. With a public channel, you can't ever make it private. But if you wanted to limit a portion to just those people, you could. So there's that. So I like using these tabs for different things. So the other thing that I like to do with these is the calendar options. So I got a couple of, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, so we're on Commsverse freebies. And these are just kind of a few little secret things. So one thing that's kind of nice for me is I live in Outlook and I have a ton of meetings. And so I have to go find the Teams meeting. I have to click on the Teams meeting. But if you haven't noticed, in both Outlook and Teams, if you're in Teams all day and you click on that calendar, if you have a meeting that's scheduled for right now, check it out. There's just a join button. I am in Teams all day long, chatting with people, sharing files, sending things back and forth. And what will happen is I'll just need to hop on the next meeting. So what I'll do is I'll be in here chatting with somebody. I'll click on that calendar icon, and all you have to do is click on the join button and check it out. It'll take you right to that meeting, and you don't even have to go hunt for it. This calendar is going to show exactly what is on your Outlook calendar. So if I went to Outlook, you're going to see that this is exactly the same calendar. So if I want things to show up on that Teams calendar, all I have to do is update my regular Outlook calendar and it'll go right there. But if it is a Teams meeting, if it has a Teams meeting associated with it, no matter where it's made, whether it's made in Outlook, whether it's made in Teams, makes no difference. It will automatically just show up here with this little join button. And this has been a lifesaver for me because I don't have to go to Outlook and open my meeting and find the Teams link to click on. I just click here and I click join. Another thing that you can do with these meetings is when you make a meeting, if you do it in Teams, you can associate that meeting with a channel. And so all you have to do is find the team that you want to associate that with, click on the channel, and then create your meeting. You can add anybody you want, but you don't have to add anybody. And then what will happen is if I go back to my team and my channel, it will put the meeting right here in the channel. So you can send it to specific people. But when you make that meeting, if you add the channel in Teams, it will put it right here in the channel. It will also put it on the calendar of anybody individually you invited. So let's say, for example, I invited Jonathan to that. It would put it on Jonathan's schedule, but it would also put it right here. And the neat thing is now, let's say, for example, I want to make this public to anybody who might be interested in the cycling stuff, but I don't know who's interested. So I could send it to the people who I know are interested, and I could also post it to the channel. And then anybody who has access to this can pop in here and they can just click on this link right here, and it will take them to this meeting that says, okay, I invited the people I knew that were interested, but I also would like to come. And so anybody that's part of that team could see that in the channel, and they could just simply click on the join button right there. All right, so I've left a couple of minutes. I don't think we have too much time for questions right now, but if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to pull up the end of this. I have a thank you slide just to everybody, but here's the quick end game stuff. Make sure you fill out the survey, and if you join me in this breakout room afterwards, I'm happy to answer any questions I can possibly answer. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and keep up with information.
Thank you, Shannon. If you'd like to chat with Shannon following the session, you can find the session breakout area. Check the Q&A for the link to join that meeting. Thank you again for watching, and we'll leave this open for about another 2 minutes. Thanks again for attending. This concludes the session.